guys are like me now. They're in some more or less important position now, and we feel a certain responsibility also for the fact that, you know, we think politically a two-state solution is the solution. Of course, Israel has to survive, and of course, all the countries in the region have to accept the existence of Israel and have to scrap the idea of extinguishing Israel from the map, etc., etc. That is an absolute must politically. But on the other hand, it's also not the solution to deprive the Palestinians more and more and more of parts of these little bits and pieces of land, which might create a Palestinian state. So that's the position also which is agreed of the between the countries of the European Union. We are in favor of a two-state solution even today, and a solution of two states living peacefully next to each other, and we will not move the capital to Jerusalem. Mainly, I think, because of all this, you know, Jerusalem is a holy city also for the Muslims. And it's so, I mean, it's so much symbolism. I mean, look at the, so if I may say so, this is not the official position, okay, it's my personal thing. Look at the, you know, there is a consulate now in Tel Aviv, and there's an embassy in Jerusalem, which is a little bit strange. And it will take, I don't know how many years until the US have built a fortress in Jerusalem, which will then be the US embassy, housing maybe 30% or 40% of the personnel, and the rest is still in Tel Aviv. So I think there's very much symbolism involved in there, and the European Union has decided to not move the capital, and this takes nothing away from our support of Israel as a state in the country.
Shifting gears a little bit to Hawaii.
Hawaii, yes.
I'm curious, so just laying the groundwork, you may or may not know, so laying the groundwork for things like the congressional apology to the Kingdom of Hawaii by the Clinton administration and Congress in 1993, apologizing for the illegal overthrow of the kingdom, and the 2001 ruling by the International Court that Hawaii was an illegally occupied kingdom since the Spanish-American War. With that as a basis, how much visibility, since Germany is internally very aware of how one country could do bad things, how much visibility is there into what happened with the Kingdom of Hawaii within Germany and or within Europe?
Can I be honest? I think hardly anyone has any clue. And one of the reasons for that, and I've said this to Dennis, I don't know, this poor guy has had to listen to my stories for hours already. So at some point, I grew up as a typical West German boy. So what I got from my parents was like, yes, we have very good friends in Europe, but our bestest friends, and that's almost like paradise, is the US. We always want to be on the same side as the US. They save us from Nazism, from communism. They are like the policemen of the world, and they prevent the bad from taking over. They're like the Batman of you know, the world.
Very interesting.
And therefore, there's no room for. Of course, we have heard for, you know, how were indigenous people and, you know, the treatment of African Americans, etc. Yes, but, you know, we all. I think the general assumption is this is, you know, some funny people in the south of the US who live in outback somewhere far away from any civilization. They are doing these things, but the US is like freedom, self-expression, and all of that.
Very interesting perspective.
I'm first generation American. My parents came to Germany. When my mother and her friends played cowboys and Indians, they always wanted to be the Indians.
That's true.
Okay, and I found myself in a hospital in Bavaria in late 1989 or so, and doctors there, that was what they talked about. You know, was that when they were kids, they played cowboys and Indians, and they wanted to be the Indians.
Very interesting.
Please, come on. Hello, I'm just grabbing Don't take my... No, that's not secret. It's much better than.
I haven't had a chance to talk in about 30 minutes. No, I just wanted to answer with a little bit more history to your question about the German take on the Hawaiian situation. The consul is absolutely right. Amongst all the topics that are being discussed in Germany, Hawaii is unfortunately not in the headlines at all. But I don't know if you know that, but there is a long history between Germany and Hawaii that starts in the 1840s, or earlier than that even, with the establishment of a Bremen consulate in Hawaii, and then a Hamburg consulate, and later followed by the imperial consulate. And there have been numerous contracts between the kingdom and the cities and states of Hamburg, Bremen, and the imperial Kaiser that are all on record, acknowledging the existence of Hawaii as a territory or as a state that is part of the world community. Those have never, to my knowledge, never been nullified or reversed in any way or form. However, the unresolved situation with Hawaii is sort of hanging in limbo, I think, in the rest of the world. And we have discussed on numerous occasions. We went to the Iolani Palace. We saw our monarchs hanging at the wall at the Iolani Palace. You know, what would be a solution to this, right? And that comes sort of to the outskirts of the universe of political thought. You know, what could that look like? Be part of the United States and yet be a monarchy? You know, I mean, all these things are almost impossible to comprehend. And it's a very interesting discussion, but not part of the discussion in Germany at this time.
And I think in the larger picture, for all of us, it speaks to the importance, not only, it speaks to the importance of educating our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews, so that they understand what happened within the Jewish community, within the Hawaiian community, the Native American community, the African American community, and any other groups that were oppressed and dealt with inappropriately by the governments in power, because it's going to be for our children to solve these problems. We're going to be dead and gone, and our children are going to have the knowledge and the history to solve these problems.
Okay, shall we take anyone else? Hello, questions? Come on. I mean, the president has to end this at some point, but I'm here.
Thank you. The question came up a while ago about how to incorporate the people from the concentration camps into a Western society. Would like to say that I learned a lot about what happened here in Hawaii to the Japanese American people who went to internment camps. At the time, I understand there were 40% of Hawaiians were of Japanese descent, and I'd like to think that they have really overcome a lot of the discrimination. But I don't know as well as all the Japanese American people here.
One last question for the council.
Yes, sir.
In 1945, I guess after the end of World War II, Germany was occupied by how many countries? Two questions. How many questions?
Four major countries.
Four major questions. Second question, at any time during that occupation, did they lose their nation status, their national status as a country on the planet?
What? I didn't get
After
that.
all the things that Germany did
Yeah.
across that part of the world, did Germany, while being occupied by four different countries, lose its national status as a country?
No, because...
Second question, that's my second question. Why was that?
Now, the Allies, the four major Allies, had decided to divide Germany up into four occupied zones. And the idea in the beginning was always that Germany would be reunified at some point. And very fast after the war, it became clear that the Russians would not agree to a reunification unless Germany was at least militarily neutral. Because you remember Churchill, I think in 1945 already gave his famous speech, sort of depicting the things to come, which would be the division of the world between the Soviet Union area of influence and the American or the Western sphere of influence, and therefore there was hardly any realistic chance for a reunification of Germany. That would only have been there, and you never know whether it would have happened if Germany had, like Austria, declared we will be militarily neutral between East and West. So the German, the three Western allies forces said we don't want a neutral Germany, we want a Germany which is part of NATO and part of our Western values, community of values, etc. And the Germans in West Germany very strongly supported that. So yes, there was a strong movement also in West Germany for reunifying Germany, but I think the majority was never ready to reunify under the condition that Germany would be neutral. So the three Western ones would go to the NATO and NATO close countries, and Eastern Germany went to Soviet Union.
So the three Western countries were asserting sort of a defensive posture against the Soviets?
Yes, absolutely. That was, it was like, I remember the year I was born was 1961, and my father always said that was the year when we feared the war would begin between Russia and Soviet Union and the Western world. And that was the year when the Berlin Wall was built to divide the city into two parts and to make it impossible for people to cross the lines, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uli. Perhaps if some of you have questions for the Consul General, you can speak to him afterwards. I do want to thank all of you for being here. I do want to call upon also Deidre with some parting words for you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, as a former director of the center, wanted to say thank you so much to Judith and Rabbi Glickman, who came to us initially, as Brian had said. We are not, this is not our area of, yes, Rabbi Glickman.
Keeps moving.
Yes, there he is. Who came to us initially. We feel deeply humbled and honored that you allowed the center to host this exhibit and to put on this amazing talk today. So real big thanks to Judith, to Consul General and Honorary Consul General for allowing Nisei Veterans Memorial Center to be a part of an amazing discussion today, and for a very emotional exhibit downstairs as well. So thank you for letting us be at the table, and thank you for giving us the honor of hosting something so special. So thank you very much. And yes, our speakers are here. Please go downstairs. The Zionism exhibit is going to be open until the last person leaves this afternoon or this evening. Thank you, Judith.